Hello, everyone. Welcome to the market simulation call for fall 2021 release. My name is Anshuman Vaidya. I'm your market simulation lead, and today is September 20. Calls and webinars are recorded for stakeholder convenience, allowing those who are unable to attend to listen to the recordings after the meetings. The recordings will be publicly available on the ISO webpage for a limited time following the meetings. The recordings and any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO permission. We have the following agenda today. We'll talk about map stage availability. We'll talk about timings for different market simulation initiatives for fall 2021. We'll talk about the initiatives separately, talk about the known issues, and a quick reminder about the system interface changes that are coming with fall 2021. And then we'll talk about next steps. Currently, the map stage availability looks like this. We have current map stage scheduled maintenance on CMRI and OSS. They will be unavailable starting 9/17, so tomorrow and day after. And then we have upcoming map stage scheduled maintenance for Cyber UI, which will be unavailable on 9/24, and Cyber API, which will be available on 10/1. You could always log into portalmap.kaiser.com to get up-to-date information regarding the map stage availability. Any questions regarding this maintenance window?
Yeah, Anshuman, this is Ray calling from PG&E. With the Cyber UI unavailable, is it going to be the whole day or just a certain period of time?
Trang, would you mind taking that question?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Ray, for Cyber and the UI and the API maintenance, we do anticipate closures for the entire day for those activities because not only is there an implementation, but we also have some security checkout that we need to do. So,
okay. Thank you, Trang.
Yeah, to support, the any activities you want to do, please plan around the maintenance, either by using the API or the UI accordingly when the other isn't available.
Okay, thank you for that. Thanks, Trang. Thanks, Anshuman.
Just to follow up, Trang, and this is Alva from PG&E. I think you just answered my question, but so although Cyber, the UI or the API will be unavailable, the system itself will be delivering bids to the market systems on those days.
That is correct, Alva. So what will happen is that we'll just close the access externally, and the system will continue to run while it's not available for you to access. And what we'll be doing is our internal users will be accessing that to do the checkout. So you shouldn't see any interruption except for a short time during the deployment as normal, and then again, even if the UI or the API is unavailable, the app will still be running in the background and processing as normal. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. And then on 9/24, presuming if we use the API to send in bids, we won't get confirmation through the UI, but the bids will go in, and we can essentially run as normal on 9/24.
Via the API, yeah, exactly. And Instrument does have later on listed one of the known issues for the API that we'll talk through a little bit, but everything else that's there now should be available in the API while the UI is closed, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you, Trang. Any other questions? All right, moving on. So today we put in all the end dates and start dates for all the initiatives. Here you would see that Hybrid Resources Phase 2A will start on 9/23, and Short Long Start Definition would start on 4th of October. Other than that, we had a successful run on 9/16 for market simulation, and we are awaiting if any entities wants to change their UFE elections so that we can change it before the 9/28 run. We are still looking on track to run for energy storage and distributed energy resources phase 4 implementation project. We are performing the end-to-end testing right now, and we will start on 9/23. Any questions regarding these timelines?
Yeah, just
Hey,
on
Anshuman,
the,
go ahead, Alva. Go ahead.
sorry, on the 923, the 923 for ESDR 4, is that the real-time market, or is that the, so the target states of
That's the
charge are
real-time
only
market.
active in real time? So are you talking about essentially, we would be looking at getting the day-ahead bids in for 923 and then putting the target states of charge in for 923, or is it on 923 for 924?
Thank you for asking that question, Alva. So we are looking for trade day 923, and the day ahead for trade day 923 will run on 922, and the real time for the day 923.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Faye, you had a question?
Yeah, just a follow-up, Anshuman. If we were to wanting to retest, say, additional trade dates, would it also run on September 28th and September 30th, or will we have to send in like an email or a special request to CAISO?
Which project are you trying to rerun the cases for?
In case of ESDR 4, if we were to retest, structure scenarios start on September 23rd, but say we would want to retest, say either on September 28th or the 30th, would we still have to request those days, or will CAISO automatically run the market to set up the structured scenarios for those days as well?
So Tuesdays and Thursdays are available after 923 to test for ESDR 4 for this month. And then for next month, we have additional dates as 10/6 and 10/30. Those are Wednesdays to test for ESDR 4.
Sounds good. Thank you, Anshuman.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yes. Hi, Anshuman. This is Chanyu. I guess I need some clarification. So just follow up on Ray's question. So on the following week of September 23rd, when we need to rerun the scenarios, then CAISO also understand now you want us to bid into all hours, and since you not specify the rock undergene feasibility hour, so are we going to? Do we need to contact you? Understand the market is going to run, but do we need to contact you? Say we want to retest ESDR 4, and maybe some coordination need to be done there.
It will be great if you could let us know that you are testing it, so we'll try to create those conditions on those days. But the dates are available if you want to do any unstructured testing. But if you, CAISO support is also available. If you just let us know, we'll do our best to generate those situations so that you can test the market simulation cases.
Right. I think the one scenario is that you have to identify those hours, right? Or two scenarios. You need to identify those hours, and we were looking at those specific hours. Okay. We'll just let you know. But then with this October 15 day, that's really great. Thank you for doing it. And then also, hopefully everything runs smooth. We don't need to carry all the way there, but if we need to, we'll probably continue to test until that day.
Sure, Chanyu. Thank you. Any other questions that we can discuss here? All right, moving on. So this slide is just stating the documents location for structured scenario and business requirement documentation for real-time settlements review phase 2 project. And as I mentioned earlier, we're doing the structured scenarios on September 16th, and we're waiting for its settlements results to come out so that market participants can choose to change their selections for UFE for September 28th run. And for energy storage and distributed energy resources, phase 4, we have structured simulation September 23rd. We have added more dates in October for testing, and the business requirement specification document and structured scenario documents are available on the links below. Any questions particular to these two projects that we can answer here?
So, Ashman, this is Adrian from California. So, earlier today, when we had an internal checkpoint meeting with subject matter experts, Wendell came in to, support that. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it today at this market simulation call. But he asked, I made a note here asking that, you prepare for this structure simulation that we're going to conduct first on the 23rd for ESDA 4, and follow the kind of the instructions and directions that you have received during our training session. That way you can maximize the kind of the value and the, the use of your testing during those, structure scenario days. So if we need more information on this one, I think it may be worth it having Wendell in one of the upcoming session, Ashman, so that we can have a conversation with subject matter experts from our customers. That way we're kind of crystal clear in how we can maximize those days and scenarios. But I understand Definitely. That our training session went over those requirements and kind of trained and instructed market participants on that best behavior or best use of the systems.
Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, definitely I'll invite Wendell to come to the next meeting to answer any questions or explain a little bit more on how we need to do the testing. And I'm sure it has been discussed thoroughly in the training, and all the market participants can follow that. Any questions regarding Adrian's statement?
I do have a question. This is Chenyu. So maybe I should wait until I want to see what is the progression for the cyberbug that we expect a fix on the 21st.
So since we're talking about that, let me jump over to that known issues. So as I understand from Wendell, the issue is if you're submitting the XML via API and you have hourly parameter missing for EOH SOC, then XML will get it will not go into cyber. The workaround for that is you can submit it via the UI. Or you could also have your API, you make sure you have your hourly parameter updated over there while submitting the XML. The fix for that is coming on 1st of October. Any questions on that?
I have a question on this. I'm just trying to calibrate this against what we saw when we tried to put in. So we submitted a lower limit and an upper limit. The upper limit was not missing, but it did not appear to have. The data did not appear to have gone into the system. And the screen in cyber that was apparently supposed to show that data was not did not show any meaningful data. So we had no evidence that that those values had gone into the system. But it was not a case of an upper state of charge missing. We put in actually the value I put in was the upper state of charge on the battery.
Alva, if I can ask you, did you also have the hourly parameter updated in there?
Yeah. In fact, the interesting thing was that what cyber showed was that something had been put in for that hour, but it did not show values for the upper or lower state of charge limit. So it actually produced a record, was for hour 17. A record was produced in cyber that was visible, but there were no values for upper or lower state of charge.
I see. It seems like it might be a slight variant of the issue that we are showing over here. Would you mind putting a CD ticket so that we can investigate the issue thoroughly?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we'll probably try to do is put in a new value. We can try to put in a new value and then see what comes out of cyber at that point.
Sure.
Hey, Shimon, this is Isaac with SCE. So we do also have a CD ticket for this, and the response that we got was that there is a generation capacity limit, or what is called a biddable capacity limit type, that needed to be included in the XML file code in order for the cyber API to accept the state of charge, the hourly state of charge values. And my understanding is that that was a bug in your system, that this is not generally a required parameter in the real-time bids. And I guess a change request to your vendor was to remove the I guess the association of the state of charge values with this biddable capacity limit type parameter, right? So that was the whole discussion we had on last week's call, is that, you're asking me to ask my vendor to put in this code change when, when you guys have it fixed, I'm going to need to ask my vendor to remove that code again. So it seems like that workaround that is being, I guess, suggested by the ISO is not a very good workaround, first of all, and it's not a viable solution for us, right? And the other suggestion is to enter the value directly into the cyber UI, and we're talking about real-time bidding, which means every hour for every resource, you're going to have to enter that value. And that also is not going to be an acceptable solution for us as well. So again, I think, we talked about having this being a required fix in order for the structure scenario to begin. And I think that is still kind of our position. So, and being the fixed date October 1st is really late.
Thank you.
This is Alpha. Thank you. Really appreciate Isaac's adding the detail on that. At a minimum, also, the other thing is for other market participants who, and I probably, first of all, I didn't understand what the nature of the workaround was completely last week, but could you produce, or is that city ticket something you can give us detail, the number for, so we can look and see what you've proposed as in detail as the solution? Whether it works or not, we can look and see whether we can make something work. But it's clear that, to me, that Isaac is correct, that unless we can use that workaround or somehow bid into real time in a way that we don't actually plan to, we're not going to be able to do the testing this week. So I'd like to get some more detail on that workaround. I don't know if we have received that documentation, and maybe Chan, you can chime in, but we do need to know what field needs to be set differently in order to get that data into the system.
Yeah, I don't think, Albert, you're right. I don't think we received the workaround. Ray did open a city ticket for the case you encountered last Friday, but I do want to voice that this is based on the feedback I heard. This is a very important feature in order to enter the market sim functional test. and the bug will not fix until October 1st. I'm looking the calendar. That is a Friday, and that is not a trade day. So that means we weren't even able to really begin a fluid market sim until October 5th here. That is very late.
Sure, Isaac and Alva, thank you for the feedback. We were hoping that the workaround would work for market participants, but if that's not the case, then let me let me talk to my SMEs and see if we can expedite the fix.
That'd be great. But also, if you can publish the workaround more widely, I think we need to have that. Since Chun Yu doesn't have it, I don't have it. I don't know whether Ray has it or anyone in our group does, but I don't know whether we'll be able to address this in the time we've got. But I'd like to at least know what you're suggesting.
Understood, Alva. So Isaac, do you mind sharing the CD number so that I can get that information and, if with your permission, can send to Alva and to you?
Sure. The city ticket number is 242491.
Thank you. 242491.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think on last Thursday's call, I've already kind of mentioned that this workaround is not going to be a viable solution for us.
Thanks, Isaac.
Understood. All right, so let me give this feedback to our SMEs and let me see if we can expedite the fix date. Any other questions regarding this non-issue?
Yeah, so Anshuman, so following up on that, since your structure scenario is scheduled to start on the 23rd, I mean, by the time we have the call on the 23rd, it's going to be too late, right? So we kind of need to know what your plans are for the structure scenario for Esther 4 by tomorrow, because on the 22nd, we're supposed to bid in day ahead, and then on the 23rd, bid in real time for the structured. So
that's a good point, Isaac, and I will send out email to all the registered and market participants who are testing Esther 4. I'll send out an email regarding what we need to do for the workaround or what the fixed date is.
Yeah, Ashwin, we have a release user group tomorrow morning at 10. So maybe let's see if we can get some resolution before then and use that release user group as a way to communicate updates.
That's great, Adrian. Yeah, we can definitely use that. Does that satisfy, Isaac, the requirement?
To be updated by tomorrow's roll call? Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we have the similar concern as well. Yeah, that would be great that we can hear that in the rock call tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Any other questions that we can discuss here for known issues? All right. Well, I'm going to go back a slide to give more information about the resources for the 4 projects that we have where we're performing unstructured market simulation. We have hybrid resources phase 2A, as I mentioned. We'll be testing between September 23rd to October 1st. We have intertie shadow pricing resolution testing between September 27th to October 15th. We have EIM base schedule submission deadline phase 1, which we have already completed the market simulation in the last session. We have short long start definition project where we'll start the market simulation testing from October 4th. And the business requirement specification documents for all the 4 projects are listed here on the slide. Any questions for these 4 projects?
Hey, Instrument and Adrian, can I also make a request in your discussion, in your internal discussion, since that feature in cyber will not be fixed until later, maybe also the discussion can also be seeing if it makes sense still having the structure run on the 23rd. Because if we have to put in hourly by hour, like on the UI as a workaround, then we may not. I don't know if we can fully test the intent. And if it's not the case, then we have to run it again. So just kind of afterthought.
Sure, Chinyu. We can definitely discuss that internally and see if the fix is going to be available before the market's in date. If not, then we can discuss internally if you want to move that date.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any questions for these 4 projects here?
Hey, Anshuman, it's Stanley with PCI. I was going to try to ask this earlier. I couldn't find my unmute. For the expansion of the date to October 15th for some of the settlement items, are you guys going to post a new settlements calendar for that?
Yes, I'm going to post a new settlements calendar and updated market simulation plan today.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, moving on. We already discussed about known issues, so I'm going to move on. So it's a quick reminder about the system interface changes that are coming for OSI 2021 project for MRIS. We have introduced it in map stage on 8/30, and it's going to production on 22nd of September. For master file, we have variable operations and maintenance project, and we have included this change in map stage on 30th of August, and the activation is in January. Any questions regarding these interface changes? All right, moving on. Now we have interface changes for SDR4, hybrid resources phase 2, and interdie shadow pricing resolution. You can see we have the OSS and the CMRI changes for those projects that are getting deployed on 9/21 and 9/22. Yeah, these are deployed in map stage on those dates. Any questions regarding these system interface changes? All right, moving on. Well, that's all I had for today's teleconference. Next teleconference scheduled on September 23rd at 2 p.m. Now I'll open up for any other queries that I can help you with, any CEDA tickets that I can expedite.
Just a follow-up, Anshuman, can you check out city ticket 242858? It was a follow-up from Alva's earlier conversation with you.
242858. I will follow up on that today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Alva. I had one other question about the testing on the target states of charge. What will you be using an arbitrary value or a known a value that you can provide for? So the target state of charge is the dispatch system will move the battery to the target state of charge based on what it thinks is the telemetry. And given that there's no telemetry in the market sim system, what value will you be using as the equivalent of telemetry on the batteries in the market simulation?
That's a good question, Alva. So basically in map state system, we echo back the DOT as the telemetry values.
Okay. So you assume that whatever it got day ahead is what it's doing. And so, for example, if it got nothing, then it would be whatever the initial state of charge was if there were no awards.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the call. We'll see you back again on September 23rd.
Thank you, Anshuman. We'll look forward to hearing
Thank
from
you.
you tomorrow.
Definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you.